final one for you guys before you go. What are your expectations for the season, Alfie?
Good question. Really good question, actually. My expectations for the season are they will play a certain way. I think they have been brave. I think they will play this way. They're going to play out from the back. They're going to have centre midfielders starting at centre back, or left backs rolling into midfield. I think it's going to be difficult. I think there's going to be some heavy beatings at the hands of the good teams, starting with Newcastle, continuing with potentially Spurs, obviously Man City, things like that. But those matches against the top six do not define a bottom 10 finish, ultimately. What matters is the teams that are in and around you, Nottingham Forest, Brentford this season, obviously the other two promoted teams. So my expectation is that they compete in those games and they beat the Nottingham Forest, the Brentfords. We'll talk about last season going down and going out without a whimper, losing every game 1-0, not having a shot on target, and you just think this is miserable. Like, this is truly
2 wins
miserable.
at St Mary's. 2 wins.
Yeah, it's awful, and I don't think that'll be the case this time, because I expect that this squad will fight for each other. I think they've got a real unity amongst them, but as Steve said earlier, that's not enough on its own. So I think if they finish 17th, I'll be absolutely delighted for them. I'll be really pleased. I think that's the target, that's the aim, and I think that's more than achievable. Like Glenn and Steve said earlier, actually, there is a sort of a wave of negativity at the moment because of the fact that there haven't been sort of £20 million marquee signings since the 2 loan players who don't necessarily improve the squad. But I've got a good feeling about it in some ways, and I think that it's an exciting way of playing. I think they're brave manager, brave coach. So I think they can go and do something, and if they finish 17th, I'll be very, very happy with that. So yeah, I think that's the target for everybody.
Glenn, what about yourself? I put the same question to you. What are your expectations for the season?
Much the same as what Alfie said there. I think it's important to make a distinction between where the squad is now and where it might be in a couple of weeks' time. We'd all like to have the striker, the attacking midfielder, the winger, the goalkeeper. We'd all like to have those in for the first game. It looks unlikely that we will. We've been talking a lot about the season 2 years ago when we played Spurs in that game. We set up 5-3-2. We had players like Jan Valery, Moussa Djenepo, people like that playing. And I remember going to that game and thinking, we've got some work to do in the transfer window, before it shuts. And what we did then that year was made it worse. We sold Oriol Romeo. We got rid of Fraser Forster. We brought in Ainsley Maitland-Niles. It was just a disaster. We had the opportunity and we made a total and utter balls of it. So there is opportunity to change things. So the first 3 games are played before the transfer window closes. As we've said, Newcastle game, Forest we could do with a result. Brentford we could do with being competitive and maybe getting a result there. But hopefully things will look a little bit more optimistic in terms of the size of the quality of the squad. By the time, there's going to be a hell of a lot going on. Loan deals. For example, just one off the top of my head, we're looking for a striker. Chelsea are going to be punting players out left, right and centre between now and the end of the window. Who's to say we're not going to pick up someone like Armando Broja for not very much money? Lukaku would be available. So, lots of things can change between now and then. So I don't really have expectations at this point because of everything that's just been said there. Ask me in 3 weeks' time. But we know that everyone at the club's geared up to try and finish 17th. That's the way. Yeah. That's the way it is. And 10 months of the season, win 1 game a month, and we'll be more or less there. So that's kind of the way I'm going to try and keep looking at it certainly for the first half of the season and see where we are. But so sorry, I didn't actually answer that, but never mind, move on.
Steve, a lot of the mainstream pundits are saying there's a lot of comparisons with us and Burnley. Will the manager adapt? Your expectations, do you think the manager will adapt? Do you think we have a Burnley type situation?
Well, no, because we kept the loan players that got us promoted, the key ones anyway. So no, I think those comparisons are not quite on points. I mean, there's a certain comparison in terms of a perceived sort of stubbornness in terms of the way the manager wants to play. But we already saw last season that actually he can see what's in front of his face, and he will make changes accordingly. We changed the system twice at big moments last season. We changed it once after the Ipswich game, I think. Middlesbrough game was the first game where we actually played a slightly different way. And then the week after that, we beat Leeds and went on that massive unbeaten run. And then he changed it again after that god-awful home game against Stoke at the end of the season. We went to Elland Road, beat them relatively comfortably, and we haven't looked back since. So, yeah, I think there will be a constant assessment of what works best for the players that we've got over the course of the season. And I don't think Russell Martin will shy away from doing that. Because he's shown in his first season with us that he's willing and capable to do that. So yeah, I don't think it's the same sort of dogma situation with someone like Vincent Kompany, who and also the thing with Burnley was that they rotated through all of their players, constantly chopping and changing throughout the season with a view to trying to work out sort of on the fly what was best for them. Whereas I think the vast majority of us, I think if you asked people to name their starting 11 for Saturday, I think most would get 9, maybe 10 names at least.
I agree.
So I think we're pretty settled, which Burnley certainly weren't last season.
Russell manager as manager of Bayern Munich this time next year, then.
Yeah.
We've got the BBC Fans Forum tomorrow. Any of you guys heading down to that tomorrow evening at St Mary's?
I'll be there. Yeah.
Nah, not for me.
It's interesting. They've officially launched Mark Bitcon as the director of football operations now, where he was previously the performance director of Sport Republic, where he's now working for the club. So I wonder if that's the sort of leadership debate settled now. I suppose with a week at the start of the season, it probably does make sense. I'll be looking forward to that. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think the problem with these fans forums is that obviously in the build up to them, a lot of people have really brave ideas and brave questions, but when you actually get sat down in front of them,
they don't get asked.
You don't tend to get those questions asked. So
no, you get people giving an hour-long spiel of how long they've supported Saints for, and now can I please ask why are the pies £5.80?
And when the stadium's going to be expanded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the bar prices need to be discussed.
That's almost a valid question with a season ticket waiting list all of a sudden, but. It's
it's something in the long-term plan, isn't it? With Phil Parsons and that, it's clearly something they want to do in the long term. But yeah, Glenn mentioned the bar prices. I looked it down. So what's it, £7.20 for a pint now? Is that right? Was it £6.20?
It was expensive.
It was in the sixes. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a little pricey, isn't it? But also, I couldn't find the new lager.
Steve won't know because it was my round.